watching. Today I want to talk about something very important, which is drum tuning and how we tune the drums. Drum tuning is very important, especially if you just bought a drum set. A lot of people don't even know that drums are tuned. So if you're wondering how drums are tuned, well, we use a drum key. So if you just bought a drum set, look for the drum key, don't use anything else. They are made to tune each tension rod in the drum set. So let's start with the snare drum. The snare drum is the tightest drum of the whole drum set, of all of the drum set. It's going to be as tight, you're going to have to tune it as tight as possible without breaking the drum head. Not to the point that you break the drum head, but almost very, very tight. It's going to have to sound kind of like a timbale with the snares off, which is kind of like this. So once you have the tuning for the snare drum, and by the way, you tune the drums on opposite tension rods. So you start with the top, bottom, left, right, or if you have crisscross, you go crisscross, and you tune and you do 1, 1, 1, 1. Same tension on each tension rod. Remember, you have to tune the drums balanced in all sides. You cannot tune one tension rod more than the other one. So remember that. So the snare drum is as tight as possible. It sounds like a timbale. And now to adjust the snares of the snare drum, you pretty much have to let them loose, turn them on, and hit the snare drum as I'm gonna do. And as you hit it, you put the snares tighter and tighter and tighter until you get the cracking sound of the snare drum that you want. And it's something like this. So you get that crack that the snare drum is known for. So that's the snare drum. Remember, the top head is probably going to be a little bit looser than the bottom head, but it's going to have to be very tight. That's for snare drum. The tom-toms, on the other hand, the way I tune them is medium tension. So even though the bottom drum head is tighter than the top drum head, you're gonna want medium tension on the tom-toms. And unless you're playing jazz and you want something very tight at the top, or you're playing heavy metal and you want the top drum heads very loose. But the one in the bottom pretty much stays the same for all tunings, and that's medium tuning. The way I identify the tones on the tom-toms is by playing the guaguancó pattern on each of the toms. If you know the guaguancó pattern, it goes something like this. So if you go to Afro-Cuban recordings and you listen to guaguancó pattern, then you can have an idea of those two contrasting tones, and that's how you identify the tone of the top drum heads of the tom-toms. That's how I like to tune them in the case that you have two tom-toms. If you have a smaller tom-tom, you're going to learn that it's a lot easier to tune the tom-toms. The smaller they are. The larger they are, the more delicate they are to tune, and the harder they are to tune. Finally, the bass drum. The bass drum is as loose as possible. You're gonna want to tune the drum heads as loose as possible, almost to the point that the tension lugs are moving, but just a little bit tight enough so that it has that oomph, that boom that you want from the bass drum. It goes something like this. You know, it's very solid. And if you notice, most of the drummers put a pillow or an E-mat, in my case, which you can purchase on the stores, made for the drums, for the bass drum, and you can put it under the bass drum to get that solid and almost dead kind of sound that the bass drum is known for. If you want to, you can also open a 9-inch or 10-inch or maybe a 7-inch drum hole in the front drum head, or some drum heads already include a hole in the front. So that's how you get that dead kind of bass drum sound that most drummers want. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about drum tuning. And remember, tuning is something that you learn with time. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to come from night to day, or from day 1 to day 2. It takes time, experience, a lot of listening, a lot of trying, a lot of experimenting, until you finally get to tune your drums the way you like how they sound, actually. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on the next time. Thank you.